Welcome to another edition of Real Talk Straight Talk. Got Mystery back on the podcast. I said that the last time, so this is like the third time. Hey, welcome back to the podcast, Mystery.
I'm always happy to be here. Thank you.
Nice. Of course, on my right, and I always get confused, on my right is Angel, my regular co-host. Welcome back.
Thank you, Colin.
How you doing?
I'm doing good today.
All right. It's been a good week. It's been warm. We've been enjoying the weather. Everybody been enjoying the weather?
I have.
Nice.
Yeah.
Gotta say a very special shout out to all our sponsors, starting with the Wayne Community Center. Big shouts to Pastor T doing their thing up there on Queen Street. There's a lot of events coming up. I know they're planning some stuff each and every Saturday for the summer. A lot of events going to be happening in the parking lot, so people pay attention. And that's the Wayne Community Center, right, in London, Ontario. And if you're not from London, Ontario, come down to London, check out the Wayne Community Center, London's Black Community Center. Got to send a shout out to Angel and the Fix Hair Salon. She's here, but ladies, you know what I say. If you need your fix, you know where to go. What's the address?
725 Hamilton Road.
725 Hamilton Road for the ladies. Get your fix. Going up to Paradise Bar and Grill. Good food, good vibes. You know, go to eat, go to party. Paradise Bar and Grill. Big shouts to Jiggy and the crew. For my dudes, if you want to get your hair cut, if you want to get all your trims, your fades, whatever, you got to check out Up Like 7 Barbershop. Big shouts to Put at the crew. Once again, Put in the crew up Like 7. Gonna take you out of town, talk about Rhythm Movements Community Association. They got Rhythm Flow Fest coming up August 5th and 6th. Big shouts to Mr. Brooks and Ashley. They're doing their thing out there, coming up to Hamilton. We got Soul Kitchen Radio, Love the Vibes, reggae music, all day, every day. Well, you know, they got a little something else, something in there. They got a little hip-hop show. They got a little Latin show. But Canada's #1 reggae music station, Soul Kitchen Radio, coming back to London. Got to say a big shout-out to Stephen and Pride, Natalie, and everybody over by RBC. And our sponsors. We got 2 sponsors that I'm so happy to talk about. One of them is right here on the show, Type Diabetes. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And the other one is Melissa and Black Lotus. Big shouts to the Black Lotus again, right? Mystery was on the show about, is it almost a month, right?
It's been about a month.
Yeah, it's been about a month. And we had the conversation about diabetes. And so we're going to continue with that conversation only for a few minutes because I think we touched on a lot. I'm going to let her recap. And then we get to ask her some questions that we never got to ask her on the last show. One of the questions, and this is just me because I'm always curious about her name. And I said I was going to ask her last time, and I didn't. People, sometimes I'm on Facebook and whatever. I see Mystery Furtado. I see Sylvan for whatever. I got to clear it up because I don't know what to call her sometimes, right? So my question is going to be about a name. But Angel, but I'm allowed to ask a question like that. You know, we're getting through all the serious stuff. I'm going to save it till the end. I'm going to get through all the serious stuff. You get to ask all the serious things, right?
Wow. I thought you were going to be touching on that today.
Oh, I am. You know, I got stuck with the name thing, so there I am, and you know, I'm going to leave all the. To everybody, welcome to Real Talk again. If you have anything that you want to know, if there are questions that you want to ask our guests, please put it in the Facebook link or put it on our IG. The IG we don't get to during the show. Sometimes we get to the Facebook during the show. If there are questions that we didn't answer during the show, we'll attempt to contact whoever sent them and give them an answer. So you get to ask our resident diabetes expert over here. And if you want any ladies, if you want any beauty tips or anything, you can also hit up Angel
okay.
after the show. Okay. All right.
Putting me on the spot like that, Colin.
Well, that's why you have the Fix Hair Salon, right? You know what I mean?
Awesome, yeah.
So, are you going to ask her the first question or should I ask her? Ladies before gents. Let me just bow out right now. Ladies, beauty before everything.
Mystery, it's so good to have you back.
Thank you. I'm always glad to be here.
Amazing. So last time we touched on a lot about diabetes. We touched on men getting checked, women getting checked, everybody. So I wanted to find out more. Well, we could do a recap. You could just kind of talk about what we spoke about and just give those who are joining us the first time today just a recap of what we talked about.
We spoke about a lot, so if I missed anything, please remind me.
Yeah.
But I think in highlight, I think what I want to urge our community to do is to be cautious of the food that we're eating, right?
Definitely, yeah.
We need to understand that something I always tell everybody, your intake needs to match your output. That is a very simple, basic advice, whether you're diabetic, pre-diabetic, or you're just trying to, fight the genes that you may have been passed down. Your activity level should dictate how much you eat, right? We always pick on Colin because he's very, very active, right? He's walking, he's very active. I see him all over the city. So whatever he eats will look different than maybe what you and I would have, right, Angel? Because I don't know about you, but I have not walked anywhere in a very long time, which is not good. So I work very hard to watch what I eat, okay? And second most important thing is to try to get an HbA1c test.
Yep.
So obviously, I would recommend it for anybody 25 up or even at age of 20. Reason being is because in Belize, we used to run a program whereby every year we test for free with a university professor who would come down. She would provide all the kits. And we'd go around to different establishments in the city of, like in the capital city of Belize. We'd try to target work environments that are high stress. And I recall that there was one particular individual, he was like maybe 20, 21. And he did it for fun, not thinking that, his results would be high or anything. And his results came, basically diabetic. So the HbA1c test looks at the lifespan of your red blood cell. So that's about 3 months prior. So that test, you cannot cheat it, you cannot alter it, you cannot alter whatever you're eating before you walk in because it goes back 3 months. And then that's a very good indicator to see how, your blood sugars are actually performing. And that's a very much better indicator. I know within our community, a lot of diabetics have not even been prescribed or even been offered that test. I think I met up with Colin a few days ago and she was bragging that she has a black doctor, she does it 3 times a year.
Nice.
Right? But another, lady in the audience, her mom has never done that test, right? So you see that it could be for various reasons, but I do want to urge our community to, find out what your blood sugars are. The glucose stick, that's like an 8-hour fasting. That just means it tests within an 8 hour of when you took the test. So then that can easily be altered, that, you can decide to not have anything sweet or not as much carbs and you get a good reading, right? But the HbA1c, there's no cheating it. So that for me is like very simple, not extremely medical, not extremely laid back, but 2 very simple advice that we can all incorporate. And we should not wait until we're diagnosed to start taking health steps.
Amazing. So, yeah, I recall you spoke a lot about your grandma and how you were doing testing from a young age on her. And so that kind of gave you more motivation to go into this. And that I'm just also recapping here.
That's all you can recap because you know what? I was actually going to try to interrupt you guys and answer about because you guys always pick on me about my walking, right? And yes, you know what? I get to eat certain foods because I walk, right? Because, hey, that's why I walk.
Yeah.
So I can eat all this stuff, right? So I'm like, yeah, I ate this today or I ate this. So you know what? Hop away. You know what I mean?
I love it. I mean, and you're at an advantage with that because, like you say, you can eat whatever you want and walk it off, and you're good. And going back to eating, I actually met Mystery at the Black Excellence conference they had for students for the Thames Valley School Board. It was nice seeing you there. And you had everything set up, and what she had there was some recipes, some really yummy recipes for that you could try out. So tell us a little more about that, because I tried some, and they're really yummy recipes, really.
Okay, so one of my favorite,
Yeah.
passed from my grandmother again,
Yeah.
is the green banana salad.
Yes.
Okay? When we think of bananas, we mostly think of it ripe, right? Now, if you're diabetic, pre-diabetic, or general knowledge, ripe bananas has a high GI. So that's like the glycemic index of a particular fruit or vegetable. You look at, what happens when your body eats it, right? When you consume the regular banana, green, it has a very low GI. So the glycemic index is low because green banana has a resistant starch. So it acts more almost like fiber than more of like just plain simple carbs, right? So what that means that it will not affect your blood sugar. You're not gonna digest it, metabolize it, and have a crazy spike. It's a very safe, food that you can consume. And what the recipe had was you can have it hot or cold.
Yeah.
So you boil the green bananas. Most of us in the Caribbean or Africa, we boil green bananas anyways, and we have it as like
That was foreign to
food.
me. Oh, we don't.
Yes.
That's why I tried it. It's like, wow, boiling green bananas, and it was like, even my kids looked at me like, whoa.
And it's interesting because West Africa is where banana is very much more popular.
Yes.
So they call it guineo, which is like Portuguese.
Yeah.
So in Latin America as well, it's also called guineo in some countries like Venezuela, Colombia, they might say guineo.
Yeah.
We just say green plantain. It's very popular. Green banana is very popular in the Caribbean as well. So you boil it with the skin on or off, right? If you boil it with the skin on, your pot's gonna get very black.
It did.
Sorry, I should have told you.
Yes.
I apologize. I think I would have put a note. So I'm sorry for anyone who boiled their green bananas with the skin on and I didn't tell you. It will let go. Like it actually would stain your clothes if you're peeling it, right?
Yeah.
So oil will take it off.
Okay.
So I'd recommend using oil to peel it. Put the oil on the knife, right? Sorry. So you take
That's
it
okay.
out the skin, you cube it up, and then you add mayo. You can add onions, garlic. You can add egg, tuna, neither, and you can have it hot or cold. And it's very affordable, so like $20 feeds your whole family, and it's healthy, nutritious, and balanced.
And it's also good for iron.
Yeah.
There was a time I got away from green banana, and it's like green banana is a staple in Jamaica. Green banana, you get up and it's in breakfast is green banana with some ackee and saltfish or whatever, right? But green banana is a staple, and now I keep remembering, yes, let me go back to my...
No, you should.
Yeah.
You should. I have an uncle, he's lost a couple of his toes right now. He's an agronomist, so very much into like growing foods, and one of his main foods to try to control his diabetes is green banana.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? So
Amazing.
I recommend it. It's one of my favorite because it's easy, it's simple, and you can spice it up, spice it down. You can have it in the morning for breakfast. You see green banana and ackee.
Yeah.
That's also pretty balanced. You're getting your carbs, you're getting a source of protein. You're getting whatever vegetables you add, so if you do onion, tomato, garlic. So those are, and again, I like that you brought it up because I feel like part of my work is re-educating that our food is healthy.
It is.
Right? It's just that it has evolved. There's a lot of misconception, and we're kind of detached from what our ancestors did because we migrate, right?
Yeah.
So that's very important. And another tip I always say, a lot of times in our community, we do like double carbs.
Yes.
Right? We need to try to stop that as much as possible.
Yes,
So,
please touch on the portioning part again.
Yes,
So
so-
people get to know.
I'll give a personal example. My partner, he's from Mexico, and he enjoys having rice and corn tortilla, 2 carbs. And he was very resistant to the idea of having either or. And when I think back home as well, if you go to Belize, they're going to serve you rice and beans, or rice and peas,
Yeah.
potato salad,
Right.
macaroni salad. Okay, these are all carbs, my friends.
Yes.
And we should not be eating that way.
Okay.
Because carbs do convert to sugar in our body. Diabetes is not just about eating sweets, it's also the amount of carbs. And we should try to have one of the carbs, vegetables, and meat as balance. And we were talking about the plate. So envision a circular plate. You're going to cut it in half, right? The half should be all vegetables. But in our culture, the half is all rice, right?
Yeah.
The other half, you divide it in 2, and that is supposed to be your carbs and your protein. But in our culture, we put all the rice on one side, 2 pieces of lettuce, and chicken and all the gravy or oxtail, right?
That's it.
That's how we eat.
Except for the second carb, because
Except for the second carb,
the
right?
second carb is there.
The
Now
second
now
carb.
you know why I have to keep up this walking and running, because I'm about the 2 and the 3 carbs.
So that is something we always, I find a lot of, not a resistance, but like, oh man, I really enjoy my rice and beans and my, pasta salad and my potato salad, but we really need to pick one or the other, especially because as we get older, your metabolism slows down, right?
That's right.
So unless you're like Colin here, who's very, very active, and especially for us ladies, we start to store fat.
That's right.
Unwanted fat, whether we do all the workout, all the Pilates, all the yoga, we store fat. That's our
it.
genetic makeup. So it's very important that we try to make those small modifications. So don't feel attacked. I'm not saying to stop eating rice and beans or your pasta salad. But first step, if we can try, let's not have it together. As step number one. Okay, I'm going to have rice and beans, but I'm not going to have it with pasta salad or any potato. I'll try to incorporate some veg, okay? And then in 2 weeks' time, let's try to have our plate look more like the model plate. So you can still have your rice, but maybe we shouldn't have a plate full of rice.
Yes, that's pretty awesome. So, Colin, you want me to go on?
Of course, because didn't I tell you that today you're asking all the serious questions? I'm here just for the comedic content.
I love it. So, yeah, I mean, just understanding diabetes as a whole, and as we learned last week, it doesn't just affect the elderly or people at a different age. It also affects children. So we also spoke about, there's the test you spoke about at the beginning. What was that?
HbA1c.
Is it also safe for children to go and get that test?
Well, that's a good question, and it have to be dependent on your doctor, right?
Just understanding. Yeah.
So if you have juvenile diabetes or type 1,
Yeah.
that may be prescribed. If your child is not exhibiting signs and symptoms, I would say no.
Okay.
Because their body requires more sugar because their brains is developing. Like, you do have to understand that your brains needs X amount of sugar to function every day, right? So when it comes to kids, it's different. Now, if there's some type of genetic predisposition that causes them to have juvenile or develop type 1 or improper diet, all this sugar, right? That is something I would say the doctors would have to recommend. But from my experience, I don't think, under 18, unless you're having certain signs, certain concerns, blurry vision, fatigue, like exhibiting signs under 18, I don't really think you have to. I think more, because again, that's my experience. I'm not telling every 21-year-old to go get tested, but I have seen someone who is able-bodied, fit, abs, active, and their sugars was out of whack. So it's a good reset. Like, okay, I gotta fix how I eat, because his was just what he was eating. And diabetes is dangerous because when you're young, your body fights off those symptoms. And that's why a lot of times when we are diagnosed, it's because something is shutting down, something is failing, we're about to get amputated, but it's because we went years with having severe spikes in blood sugar. And remember, high blood sugar is not always a bad thing. When you have common cold, your sugar is high. If you have diarrhea or you're sick, your body does compensate by increasing blood sugar. Okay, so it happens. It's a normal reaction. So we have to reduce stress, and we have to be very cautious of what we eat.
I got an in-studio question. What happens if you cut down on the sizes? Can you still have both carbs?
I love that question, and I love my people. Because we will find a way. Very, very good question. Now, if you are not diabetic and you would like to have both your portions, first I need to understand how active you are. Okay? So if you're like Colin and you are burning more than you eat, and Colin goes home and he has rice and beans and the pasta salad and the potato salad in small portions. So let's say the other half, he splits it in two, right? Then you're balancing, because life is a balancing act, right? But let's say you're having 2 carbs 3 times a day, the answer is no. Okay? You can't cheat it, right? But let's say for lunch, you want to have 2 of them, but you're walking, you had a small breakfast, because even if you're diabetic, you have to watch how much fruit you eat in a day, how much carb you eat in a day. So same applies to us. You don't have to panic and start measuring and weighing stuff ordinarily, but you have to be very mindful of what you're consuming. So the yes is very conditional depending on your level of activity, and it cannot be 3 times a day. So in our culture, you have flour tortilla, corn tortilla, Johnny cake, fried jack in the morning, heavily with beans, eggs, sausage, and then for lunch you have rice and beans, potato salad, or you can have the tortilla again with the fried jack, right? So that's 2 meals. And then for supper, same thing: flour, beans, rice, meat. You can't cheat that, right?
Well,
So
I'm gonna say at home it was a little different because, you know, we would have sometimes cornmeal.
okay.
Porridge.
Yes.
Right? Cornmeal porridge, rice porridge, oatmeal porridge. One of the three, right? Then either dumpling festival or green banana or
You see?
some callaloo and
Your parents, your grandparents, they got it right.
right. That's breakfast, and that's how we had breakfast. That's how we came down. That's how we did the breakfast until I got to Canada, right? And then my mom got it right for a little bit, but then integration, trying to adapt and be and make you lose sight, and then but the things I never gave up was cooking of good food.
I'm so glad you shared that because, so I mentioned last week we were piloting a food literacy curriculum with the Catholic
Yes.
School Board, right? And that's exactly why we did this curriculum, because that's what happens, right? We come to Canada and our lifestyle change, so our eating patterns change. And sometimes we're not able to pass that on to our kids, right? We have to eat fast because there's soccer, there's school. We're doing so much more. And then we don't live with our grandparents or extended family because, like, when I was growing up, my grandma she managed the house. She was the boss, okay? My mom worked. She's a career woman, so she never had to worry about working and then coming home and feeding kids, right?
That's
Because we
right.
live in a real world.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why it makes it harder for us, because our family dynamics change.
Yep.
So we have to very much be proactive, plan ahead, explain to our kids, work with our kids. Because imagine coming home, you're tired from work, and your child doesn't want anything healthy. He wants Burger King. Like my child.
Don't
That's
worry.
what he always wants. And I cook very good. And this child prefers Burger King over my food. And sometimes I want to, are you kidding me? I cooked really good, stew beans or lentils, and I make good salad because my aunt, she was very good. I do really good salads with, olive oil, and I'm a really good cook. And this child don't want it.
I feel your pain. My oldest was good like that. She eats I want to say good food, and I want to say good food. She eats good. My two last ones, let's see. The youngest, she will eat some, but then I got one, and I got one. That's all I can say is I got one. It's pizza or well, actually he's got a friend that's a Muslim friend, so he's and they're eating a lot of shawarmas and stuff, right? So but to bring and say, okay, let's go eat some yam and banana and all that stuff. Boy, I'm telling you, I'm gonna lose that fight, right? That's a fight I'm losing. My daughter, yes, the first one, the big one. Oh man, she's good. She eats, yeah.
So I found with my kids the integration of cooking, right? Helping them to be a part of the food preparation helps.
It does.
Right?
Yeah.
So my kids they do pretty well with the plantain, boiled. They like it boiled. We do the green banana. They would do the yam with a nice little gravy or something like that. So they do good.
Yeah.
But I find you kind of have to spruce it up. I make a very good options to fries that's a better starch than potato is cassava fries.
How about sweet potato?
Sweet potato also. Sweet potato has been a regular potato, but if you really want to up your game, Cassava fries is where it's at.
Really?
Yes, so my kids love cassava. Oh, green banana. You know the green banana? It makes good chips as well.
Yes, yes.
So I fry it. No, the green banana.
Green
Oh, the
banana
green
chip.
one.
Yeah,
Ooh,
green banana.
It melts in your mouth.
You never had green banana
I
chips?
told you I first started green bananas and
Now-
boiling it and making my pot black.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Angel.
we.
It's okay.
I feel your
No,
pain.
but that's amazing. I'll
Yes,
try
green
that.
banana and the cassava fries. They're better starches, right? They're still starch,
Yeah.
but they're better starch because of they have a resistance fiber in there, so it reacts better in your body. So I would
Amazing.
recommend cassava fries because potato is a very simple, bland, not the greatest to have, but what can we do, right? But you try to avoid that. I barely buy potatoes. I can tell you that. I might buy the little small red ones to add in my
Yeah.
curry or something like that, but I rarely buy potatoes.
I've cut on those. So, okay. So, on the topic of food, we're laying it on the table. Give us the staples that we should kind of have in our life to make our lifestyles better now. So that, like, if you're a diabetic, what are the staples that you think would be good to have
So
on your kitchen table?
if you're diabetic, again, like I mentioned, it varies based on your blood sugar
Yeah.
reading, right?
Yeah.
So if it's under control, things like green banana, cassava, even sweet potato, brown rice, a lot of grains. So
Grains.
things like pumpkin seed, flax seeds, oats is also pretty good. If you're diabetic, half a fruit. That's like the standard Canadian recommendation. If you're pre-diabetic, you may be able to have a whole fruit. But again, that's very much dependent on your blood sugar readings. So your staples are very much ground food. There's different types of rice. There's like the black rice. Africa has over 200 different types of grains. And now we're not in Africa. We're not able to get access to whole grains because what happens is that to process some of the grains, they remove the good part, right? So you're not getting the germ, you're not getting the bran, you're getting, it is grains, but they remove a lot of stuff out of the grains. So it's still somewhat processed. But like if you're in Africa and how they used to do it, they consume the rice with a lot of the grains so it doesn't go through all this process. So it's a healthier, more digestible, because rice is not bad. In the Asian community and in Asian medicine, they eat a lot of rice as well.
Yeah.
It's just how much rice they eat, and they don't really add too much oil or seasoning. It's plain, very soft rice because the idea is you want to consume a lot of grains and fibers to help get it out of your body. So I think your body takes about 7 to 2 hours to fully process rice. And I think meat is like 48 hours. So your body takes time to so you have to eat foods that helping you process this food. So a lot of questions I get, white versus wheat. Almost the same thing if you ask me. I think that what's important is the grain. So if you like white flour, try to add oats, flaxseed, pumpkin seed. Like you gotta bring it up so it doesn't bind to your colon.
Yeah.
Those are the key principles. So for us in the African diaspora, it's your ground food as much as possible. We don't always get the good yams. Sometimes they go bad before they get to your house.
That's
but
right.
those are the grains that I recommend, and at least I try to buy a lot for my kids. Plantain, I do the green bananas, I try to do the cassavas. It's kind of hard to pick, but the yam, better than potato.
Perfect.
I put it in my curries. I put it in if I'm doing baked chicken, instead of buying potato, I buy some little yams and I throw it in there.
Awesome. Awesome.
I almost, you know what? There's a dish that I forgot that I haven't made in a long time. My mom used to make thing we call bami, and bami is cassava.
I know that word. Okay,
Yeah,
yes,
cassava,
yes.
right? Cassava, and it was always fried fish and bami, and I haven't had bami in a long time, and now it's like having these conversations, making me realize how good we actually ate back.
Yes. And now thanks to technology and all these creative chefs, I saw a roti made out of cassava.
Wow.
One ingredient roti, and I've been planning to make it at home for my kids because all they used was the cassava.
Awesome.
They boiled it, and then they smashed it, and then they cook it we call it a kamal.
Oh, so they didn't turn it into a flour and make it. They
just plain cassava, and it blew up. And I saw one with plantain as well, green plantain, boiled, I saw 2 recipes with the plantain. One person adding flour so it binds, another person doing it just the plain banana and doing it into a roti.
Okay.
So I want to thank all these Insta chefs who've just been so creative. They've given me ideas. So we've been I plan to try the 1 ingredient roti with the cassava.
Okay.
That's awesome.
What's your most creative dish?
Me?
Yeah. What's your most creative dish that encourages your kids to want to eat based on your culture?
Well, it's not my dish. It's a cultural dish that my grandma used to always make.
Yeah.
And it's called hudut.
Okay.
And
Say that again.
hudut.
Hudut.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's coconut gravy, like coconut milk gravy, and it carries okra, cilantro, hot pepper, culantro, season, and then you cook the fish head. Season the fish head, you cook it in the coconut milk gravy.
Yeah.
And then we have a mata and a mata stick, and you pound the ripe or green plantain, and you eat that with your hands. You're supposed to eat it with your hands, right? And I make it here for my kids, and I feel like that's something that traditionally kids that are born here and grow here wouldn't even want to try.
I
know they look at me side eyes, but if I make that right now,
your kids.
they would not stop eating. And they love fried fish, so I was able to introduce fish to them. And they like the green banana chips and the cassava fries. They love beans.
Yeah.
So my nieces, and I shouldn't take all the credit, but my older brother is Rastafarian, and all his kids don't eat meat.
Okay.
So I feel like my kids, some of their formative years was exposed to a meal that didn't have a lot of meat. So if I'm not home, when I was going to nursing school, my nieces don't play this, you eat this, you eat this. Whatever we cook is what you're eating.
What you eat.
So they don't play this separate dish for nobody in the house. So when I'm not home, my kids were forced to eat whatever their older cousins made, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're not gonna cook you meat. They're like, no, you're gonna have beans, a nice stir fry of vegetables, and they make the best vegetables. Oh, and my kids eat okra as well. I add it with hot dogs and onion in the morning, and they will have okras that way. A little bit of coconut oil, okra, onion, and like sausage, and they'll have that in the morning.
Do you fry it?
Yes, you fry it.
Oh, gosh.
Because you know okra is slimy.
Yeah. I like it slimy. I like it like
Oh, man.
My kids would never. Fried, yes.
I never liked okra like
I
that.
love it
Try
slimy.
it the way I said it. I think you change your perspective, because I didn't like okra either, and I had a friend in Belize who introduced it to me that way.
Yeah.
And my kids eat okras that way, the only way.
Let me tell you about my okra experience. So, no, this is a good experience, and I'm bringing this up because a couple months ago, we had a party at your place.
Okay, yeah.
So there's an older DJ that was down there. Big shouts to DJ Glenn. Glenn's about 80 something, right? And he was down there. Comes out every once in a while. You gotta, if you're playing good music, he's just there.
He's there.
Right? And so we're talking about age, and I remember at one point he's like, you know what, I'm over 80, and my wife makes sure I eat healthy. I don't eat a lot of salt, and I eat a lot of okra.
Yes.
Right, and this is
Amazing.
why and this is why I had to bring it up. Just the minute you talked about okra, it just took me back to me and Glenn's talking.
conversation,
Yeah, and he talked a lot about eating okra,
That's very healthy.
yes, and if you look at Glenn, you wouldn't think Glenn is anywhere near 80, right?
It's like a superfood.
Yeah.
It's one of the superfoods. Okra
It
is like
fights diabetes
really good.
as well.
Well,
Okra
first-
water.
Yeah.
You soak
Yeah.
the okra in water and you drink it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that your party was in your basement, and he didn't have no trouble walking up and down that or anything,
Yeah.
right? So yeah.
Yeah, so like even in my country, like you'll find we have different types of okra. We have the okra that you see, and then we have a leafy type, but it all has the same consistency if you boil it, so it will be
Okay.
like slimy and all that stuff. So in my country, the way we have it, frying is a foreign thing to us. We don't normally fry our okra. Instead, so we would chop it up, put some tomato, back in the day, like if you go rural, they would use the ash from the, like, yeah, so the ash, they'll put it in there and it will help, it will act like a bicarbonate of soda. So that's what it would do, and then it would bubble it up, and then with a little bit of tomato and okra, and if they don't have tomato, it's just okra and that, and they'll boil it. And you could have it with, our staple is like cornmeal. So what you probably would call turncoil, a corn. We call it sata or cornmeal.
Yeah,
So it's like, but then it's, if you look at it, it looks like pounded yam or fufu or ugali.
Yes.
So I've touched on all the other countries there. Ugali, fufu, pounded yam, baba. We call it sata. So it's like turn corn. What you call it? Turn corn. The one you that one.
Yeah.
So you have it with that, and that's good. And you see, most of the people who live rural are so healthy because they're not eating all these refined things, and everything is coming from the ground, and and like even like something that's very healthy. I don't know if you know those jack. Like if you go in the bushes, you get all these little blackjacks on you. That makes a really good healthy vegetable. The leaves, they're really good. Some people use them for diabetes, they use them for blood sugar control, they use them for high blood pressure. And so like all these vegetables that are in the wild, and like if you go to the rural areas, they're big on all those like things that you'll just find in the bush. They'll eat that, and they're so healthy. So they would be able to run a marathon.
And I can relate to that because me growing up, right? First 20 years of my life, it was a mix between Jamaica, Guyana, and I think 2 years in Canada. Then I came back a second time in Canada, and it's the second time in Canada. Then I realized I was eating, like I got introduced to all the other foods, right? So played a lot of sports, did a lot of things, and didn't really eat a lot of bad things, right? So yeah, ate a lot of and ate a lot of good food. And when I say good food, I'm talking really healthy food, right? So
and if you look at it, like if we look at the stats of diabetes, especially, it's all, there's a lot of it. Though it may be genetic or hereditary, whatever you may decide to call it, a lot of it comes with diet, like obesity triggers that. And as we learned last week, there's a lot of other things, especially a lot of our children are not walking, they're not doing this, they're eating fast foods more, people don't have time because of work, and they're not cooking the raw food itself. So as a result, we're having so much processed food, and maybe you can attest to that. That's where most of the other that's why there's a higher rate of diabetes in the Black community, and also the other races, but mostly in the Black community because of the lack of time to make things. So as we've seen, this part of this whole segment right now has been about food. You know what I mean? So
food is life, right?
Food is life.
So
just concluding on the food aspect of things, I think if we all take a minute to make sure that what we are buying and putting on our tables, as she mentioned, Miss Mystery here, has to have healthy components. And I was watching also this documentary on marketing strategies in America. Just like all those boxes, you'll see healthy this, healthy choice, blah blah blah, this and that.
But is it really?
But it's not.
Is it really
because
healthy? Yeah.
Everything, even like the meats, the natural meats that you see that say no nitrates and all that stuff, when tested, all those things have the nitrates, but they've just put them in a different name. So it's like when you're buying processed foods, you're just causing other diseases. So I feel, like you say, the community garden we're going to touch on. Eat raw, natural foods, and make sure you're peeling your fruit. Because like some people like to just say, okay, fine, my kid is going to have lunch. I'm just going to buy the packed oranges. There's this, but there's so much sugar content in there, and it's not good. So just, I feel as a community public service announcement right now, we're going to say eat fresh, right?
Yeah, try to get some fresh.
Eat fresh, dig up the roots.
Eat fresh as much as possible,
Yes.
right? Because we live in a real world and we're not always able to access fresh produce, and that's why we are planting more cultural produce that's going to be free for the community, because a lot of times too is access to quality produce. A lot of us live sometimes near grocery stores that don't always carry the most fresh produce, right? And this is no attack to the grocery stores, but from personal experience, I drive sometimes to the north side of town to try to get better produce. They cost more.
And that's the other thing we got to talk about, because there's an economic aspect to it.
There's an economic aspect.
Yes.
And we always, when we use the word healthy, we think expensive. We think, asparagus and all these fancy mix, but that's not the definition of eating healthy. You want to try to eat whole foods as much as possible.
Yes.
You want to try to get your cultural vegetables, because okras are not going to break the bank. The green bananas won't break the bank. Sometimes our food are more time consuming, so we don't want to cook it. But we can find easy recipes right now, thanks to Instagram and Facebook. There's a lot of chefs and YouTube that are cooking up. There's Afro vegans, there's Ghanaian vegans, there's Canadian vegans. And when you follow those pages, you get so motivated. Like, I'm planning to grow my own mushrooms this year. I found a grow kit, and I'm trying to transition into eating more mushrooms and less meat. I've been eating way more fish with the kids now. We've been doing meatless days, right? Very slow to transition, and it takes time. Like, I am not gonna lie, I used to really like ramen noodles. That was a thing in my house, not my grandmother's way of eating, but something that the kids, we all enjoyed. And I think in the last 2 years, I finally told my kids, I'm not buying no more ramen noodles.
No.
And I announced it to the world, because that's huge. And for Belizeans, if any Belizeans listening, we love our ramen noodles. Like, that's a thing. That's like, you come home with Murray Sharp hot pepper.
Yes.
Listen, that hits different, that we're happy. But it's not healthy. Right? And you have to make a conscious effort. When I go to the grocery store, people look at my cart, and I don't know if it's in support or if it's racial because of how my cart look, but I always get people telling me, your cart is so healthy. Put a candy in there. And I'm like, why does my cart bother you, right? So I don't take it offensive, but sometimes I ponder on these interactions and I wonder,
well, if it's racial, I'll take it. If it's racial, I'll take it, because it's that kind of cart, I'll take that. You can be racial all you want.
So I'm like, I don't know, but I literally try my best that when I go, when my kids were younger, it was different. I bought them snacks, but as they get older, my Costco cart looks different. Right? I'm buying less snacks. I'm like, go eat a piece of bread, put jelly on it. That's a far better snack than the cookies. Right? So as my kids are getting older, I'm transitioning what my cart looks like. I'm transitioning what I buy, and it takes time. So don't feel pressure, don't feel rushed. Sometimes I come home and I buy takeout because I'm tired, I'm brain dead. We're not perfect.
No.
But
definitely.
every day, let's try to make an effort to, come out to our community garden. We want to support people to grow at home. You don't need a lot of space to grow. I live in a townhouse. We harvested vegetables all summer long, because part of cultural competency is harvesting what grows here easily. So spaghetti squash grows here easily, zucchini grows here easily. Kale. My kids are harvesting lettuce. We're
I
gonna
just
buy
planted
lettuce.
some garlic.
Right? So there are things that we can grow with a little bit of space, right? And we're gonna be in different points in the city. We're targeting places that, have a high community of like the BIPOC community and the Afro community, and we're hoping to take the produce to different locations so it can be more accessible, because I know not everybody may be able to come down to the Western Fair.
Are you gonna do? So where is your?
At
the Western Fair.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not in different communities. It's just at the Western Fair, and people are welcome to come and check it out.
Yes, they are.
And help plow.
Yes.
Plow. I thought I was just say plant. Plow.
She's gonna make everything, and we're just gonna come and take everything.
No, I think
welcome to plant too.
I think I'm actually gonna take my kids. I'm gonna take my kids. I'm making that promise right now to take my
Yes.
kids. I know, this is gonna get me in trouble because I'm sure at least one is listening. I'm actually gonna try to actually I'm gonna attempt to do some cooking with one of them too.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
do you have cooking classes on site too
Oh.
at the Western Fair?
No, I'll be doing the cookings at different locations. So
Okay.
this year we're going to be processing the harvest and offering free meals to the community.
Oh,
So do stay tuned.
Amazing.
I'm still finalizing, but we're going to be in the northwest, like Limberlost area. We're going to be in the Bully area. And we're also going to be at RCCG Church in Adelaide.
Okay.
And there's going to be a free meal, a free Afrocentric meal. And we're resuming our food box program with all fresh produce. And those will be located on site or at these 3 locations in the city. So when I have it all finalized, I'll share so we can tell the whole community. But we're trying to we're trying to harvest as much as possible with the space that we have this year,
Awesome.
and really promote, eating whole, harvesting, planting, and let's cook. That's what we used to do. We used to cook together.
okay.
Right? We used to cook together. That's a big part of our culture, food and community.
Amazing. Now, all tying to this, you are big on CMOS. We're going into your business now. I mean, this is part of your business. Did you know about a CMOS?
No, we haven't touched on on her business side per se.
This is on her diabetic. Now we're going on to the business aspect. She's got mama, your mama who on her business. She's got a CMOS bottle that I've been seeing on Instagram. It's trading everywhere. Everybody loves this stuff. You see her going and dropping it and depositing it at different locations.
Wait a minute.
She's got CMOS. She's a CMOS lady. So let's hear more about the CMOS and what the benefits are. Because I love seaweed. But then when I heard about CMOS, I was like, oh, this is some next level stuff. So could you
Yes.
touch on that?
I
And
will
tell us
very
more about your
quickly.
business?
Yes. So it just put me on the spot, but yes, so I do CMOS.
Yeah.
So my logo is my grandmother.
Yeah.
It's something that she passed on to me. It was a very risky business move because she's an old lady, but I told everybody on my team that it's a risk I'm willing to take because everything that I know
Grandma
about
P.
holistic healing is from her.
Yeah.
And so CMOS is a superfood. It contains 92 of the 108 vitamins and minerals needed by your body on a daily basis. So vitamin A, B, omega-3 fatty acid, iodine, thiacine, right? And a whole list. So it has a vast array of health properties.
Say that again. I want you to. No. I really want you. There are times there's information that comes out that
Yeah.
people really need to understand because
Yeah.
I didn't know it. But
Yeah.
that 108. So I want you to just go over that stat again and let people know.
So CMOS has 92
Yes.
of the 108 vitamins and minerals needed by your body on a daily basis. Some of the
Wow.
more popular ones are omega-3 fatty acid, iodine, thiacine, vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin B12. And the reason why I mentioned those because I have a lot of allergy. My son has asthma. This time of year, it's very triggering, right? So we use CMOS. I was able to keep him off his puffers for a whole year.
Wow.
Until he had a trigger because his dad has a cat.
Oh.
But apart from that, we've been able to keep his allergies pretty much under control. In the Caribbean, we make a CMOS drink,
Okay.
right? But in the Caribbean, CMOS has a very sexual connotation. It's good for the back.
Okay.
So
we all know what the back is.
We
do?
in the so we in the Caribbean, we don't really realize all the health properties. We make it into a drink.
No,
right?
we realize what the health properties are,
But we just make jingles with the sexual ones, right?
Right.
So
See,
in
that's
Belize-
it. So there's nothing healthier than knowing that you're. And I'm gonna leave it right there. But
Well, I think
just we don't put it in the other things. We just
We
left
don't.
it. We left it
don't.
in the one area, right?
we leave it in the one area. And Dr. Sebi was the one who brought that to the Americas.
Oh.
So in Belize, everybody and their dogs and their grandma has CMOS. It's a new sense to fishermen. They bring
Yeah.
it. And it's actually linked historically. So because everybody tells their story, people think of Irish sea moss.
Mm.
Yes.
But that's because during one of the World War, the people in Ireland
Yeah.
only survived on sea moss.
Oh.
But they're not the only group of people who are using sea moss. But they take the narrative, right, that, oh, it's Irish, but it's just because they survived only on sea
okay.
moss because they could. I'm not a historian, but I know they went through, the war, the Great Depression, one of those big historical events that they only could have eaten sea moss, and that's how they survived until they got stuff. But in the Caribbean, we've been using it for decades. There's research.
Yeah.
There is like all these agricultural research as well on how to harvest it. So now when I came here to London, I realized that a lot of our health practices are not really available commercially, right? And we have other vegetables and products that are superfoods in our communities that we can't get here, right? Or it's not available at a store. So that was my motivation to start off with sea moss.
And it's granny pea.
And it's granny peas sea moss.
Yes. And so tell me, how do you consume it? Like, I know it's in a bottle, it's in a big jar. How do you?
So our recipe is tasteless, odorless, because typically if you think of superfood, they normally smell bad. You think of spirulina, right? So ours has no taste, no odor, no carbs, no added dyes, no sugar. You're getting pure sea moss, and you can eat 2 tablespoons directly, or you can add it into your coffee, your smoothie, your protein shakes in the morning. It's very, very versatile. I don't do the flavoring because I feel like, how do you know how much sea moss to fruit you're getting if I put fruit in it? If I give you pure sea moss, you reconstitute it how you want, and you know how much sea moss you're getting, right? So that's my thing. So I don't do flavored. I do it plain, and you put it in whatever. Ginger is a great activator, so I put it in ginger tea for my kids.
Okay.
Well, let me bring out the capitalist in you. Put the flavors in. That's the capitalist, okay?
No, I won't. Others can do that. I'm not gonna do fruit flavored. I want to do pure sea moss because I believe in what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
And you can go home and add the fruit. But if I add the fruit and
No,
I
I'm
tell
adding
you,
flavoring, not necessarily fruit, just little flavoring so it goes
no,
down
no,
that.
health is health. I don't want to unwaver
But
with my
does it
principle.
it doesn't make it less healthy if you
It
make
doesn't make it less healthy, but then how do I know how much sea moss to fruit you're getting when I mix them on such large quantities, right?
And how do you know that it's not going to make the sea moss go something else by adding something else? Yeah.
All
things
the,
like that.
Listen.
Take away.
In
Take
Jamaica, there's Irish
away.
moss, okay? We have the Irish moss and it tastes good and it's good.
Yes, but like I said, eventually I want to do flavors, but in a drink. Not for you to keep at home, stored.
Okay.
Like when you're home, you want to get fresh sea moss, eat it, and put it in something fresh. If I'm blending up the fruit and the sea moss and it's sitting on the fridge, the sugar is going to break down. The sugar and the sucrose and fructose in
That's
the fruit
exactly it.
will break down some of the health component of the sea moss.
Then it's not sea moss
I don't
anymore.
want to do that. But you can go home and add it to fruit because you're drinking it right there and then. You're adding 2 tablespoons right there and then you're consuming. You're not having it sit in the refrigerator with a fruit. That's the difference.
Contaminant. Okay. That's pretty awesome. Okay, so now we're going to go a little personal. And I'm going to allow Colin to ask his burning question.
Personal.
Yeah, personal. Like, you want to know. I'll ask it because I think I have a little inkling on what it is he wants to know.
Yeah.
The last name, Furtado.
No, the first.
The first one. Okay,
did
we talk about Nelly Furtado the last time?
No.
Are you related to Nelly Furtado?
No, she's not. I know Nelly Furtado. I know she's not.
But anyway, it's your first name, Mystery.
Yes, it is.
Yes, let's go with that.
So why do I see Sylvan?
Because Facebook didn't think I was a real person, so I had to use my middle name on Facebook.
Okay. Okay.
So I am Mystery Sylvan, since you guys want all my names.
Okay.
But
Not anymore though. I just saw Sylvan. I never knew, and I saw Mystery, and
I get it a lot, don't worry. Sylvan
Right.
is my middle name. Facebook was like, you're not a real person. You can't use Mystery as your
Okay.
first name.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Beautiful name.
Thank you.
Well, I've asked a lot of questions, and we know you have this amazing activity, like keeping the city active. Colin's going to talk about that.
No, actually, what what I have here is her type diabetes annual 5K run for diabetes. It's coming up on Saturday, September 9th. I know it's a long time away, but for those of us, because I walk a lot, I don't necessarily run, right? Maybe it takes you want to get warmed up to do this run. It's a 5K run, right?
You can walk.
Nah, but
we have people that walk.
I know. Listen, but it's a 5K run. And you walk if you definitely cannot run. So the challenge is to actually go out and run, right? And if I enter, I didn't say I'm going to, but if I enter, I'm actually going to try to run the 5K.
I'm definitely gonna. I'm going to run. I'm going to start practicing.
If I get a running partner, and I got to go look at my kids, and I'm going to volunteer my kids. It's Saturday, September 9th, 2023. I'm gonna say right now, me and Ty are gonna go run the 5K.
All right.
Right. Me and Ty are gonna run the 5K. Let's get out and support. One of the things we try to do here in Real Talk is support different things that go on in our community. We're very big on supporting our Black events, but not just our Black events, because there are times when we get it confused that we should only support Black events. But as a Black community, we're also part of a larger community. And yes, there's the internal, and the internal is our Black community, so let's do what we can to support our Black community. But we also have to show that we're part of a larger community. At times we have to do things in that larger community. Right, so the 5K run is for diabetes. So, and it doesn't mean that if you're suffering from diabetes or anything, it just means in support of. So we're looking for people to come out and run and support. And there's a registration fee of $55, and you get a T-shirt, and you get there's a couple of things I think you get. I'm going to let Mystery talk about that. But yes, I'm going to pay that $55 and take my son and run with my son. Because,
Thank you.
Me and him haven't run together in a long time, except when I'm trying to chase him down and all that kind of stuff. But we're going to run for a good cause.
Thank you, Colin. I'm glad that you're bringing your son, because it is a family-friendly event.
Yeah.
It is $55. You get a T-shirt, a participation certificate, and we're going to have snacks and refreshment afterwards. You can bring a donation if you like. All the proceeds go to supporting our free food support now that we're going to be having. We had the food boxes during the pandemic. We had to pause due to funding, so this fundraiser is going to help us not ever have to pause. And our target is 150 families this year. We did 80 during the pandemic, and now we want to do 150. So every fund that we raise, we're going to put it towards, increasing the access to fresh produce for our community, because that is very much important, not just for diabetics, but prevention, empowerment, representation. We need to have places that we can access that reflect what we eat.
Okay. And is this just like with the fresh food boxes? Is it just a summer thing, or is it throughout the year?
So with the greenhouse, the whole idea was that we'd be able to offset the cost of the food boxes, because we run out of funding because we're buying from farmers. So it's only going to be during our growing season.
Okay.
We hope to be able to access land so we can have insulated greenhouses so it can be all year round.
Awesome.
But this time we're only going to be keeping it during the planting season, and as we work on sustainability, it'll be all year round. But for right now, it's just up until like September, October.
Awesome. And how do people reach out to you if they're interested in that? Is it...
So if you'd like to volunteer, you can visit our website and sign up to volunteer. You can send us an email. If you want to access, I'm going to be uploading a form for those families because I already have a list of families, but if you know of a family who would benefit from the produce, then you just let me know. We'll put it on a list. So depending exactly what you want to do, if you want to be a part of our cooking sessions, if you want to access our free meal that's going to be happening from now until next year, once a week, join our mailing list so you can know where we're going to go. We will post once we have the date, so you can know where to find us and come and get a free meal that's healthy, it's fighting diabetes, and it's also cultural. So,
awesome.
You know what? I don't have anything to add to that, and it's a great way to end the podcast. First of all, I want to say thank you to our viewers, our listeners, our contributors. Thank you so much, Mystery, for being here again, and we're going to get you back again. We're going to try to get you back a couple times during the summer so that, one, we can get a progress report on the things that you're doing.
Sure.
Health is one of our big things. We talk about mental health and physical health.
Yes.
And we're always going to be running podcasts that's around those two. So every so often you'll hear us talk about mental health. Every so often you hear us talk about our physical health. And on top of that, we also part of another podcast, which is Health Kick with Dr. K. It's the last Friday of every month. It's actually brought up by the Wien Community Center. We just happened to shoot it. Health is important.
Yes, it is.
Right? We want to make sure everybody's taking care of the health. So you check out Real Talk, Straight Talk at every so often. We'll start to put up schedules of when we have the health-related topics. Next week is another health-related topic. We've got VIMBI and regional HIV. So we're taking on a different tangent. So once again, regional HIV will be on the podcast next week, Tuesday. I'm going to try to get Mystery back here a little bit over a month from now. I'm going to try to see if I can get her once a month as we go through the summer. Like I said, it's just going to allow us to recap about diabetes, because diabetes goes on and on and on, and
Yes.
we want to make sure that it's there.
Awareness.
We want to make sure that we're always keeping you aware. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of Real Talk, Straight Talk. Thanks to all our sponsors and supporters, the Wien Community Center, Up Like 7 Barbershop, Angel, of course, here at the Fix Hair Salon, and, of course, Mystery and Type Diabetes, Melissa Alder and Black Lotus, Soul Kitchen Radio, Rhythm Movements Community Association, Pride, Paranoid Bar and Grill. We want to thank everybody that helped us put this podcast together and keep us running and keep us going. And we will see you next week.
Fade to
Fade to black. Did I forget the fade to black? Fade.